The Thousand Marbles Theory. A young man was overwhelmed by his intense work schedule. It was getting close to evening, but since he was unfamiliar with the concept of a regular workday, there was no telling when he'd get home. He buried his head in his hands and closed his eyes tightly. He made a lot of money and held a managerial position many envied, but he didn't see his life as truly living. "What kind of life is this?" he muttered to himself. Even on weekends, he couldn't go home. Meetings, business trips, correspondence, and constant hustle filled his days. He couldn't spend time with his family or children. He had even forgotten the names of many close friends. Lost in this despair, he suddenly remembered the small radio in his drawer. He turned it on, feeling a bit relieved by the music playing. After the music, an elderly man started speaking, and he instinctively reached to turn off the radio but then stopped. The old man was about to discuss an interesting theory. He began to listen curiously as the speaker introduced the Thousand Marbles Theory. The speaker said, "Today I sat down and did some arithmetic. I figured the average person lives about 75 years. I know some live more, some live less, but let's assume 75. With 52 weeks in a year, I multiplied 75 by 52 and came up with 3,900 Saturdays in an average lifespan. Now, listen carefully. This is the important part. I started thinking about this in detail when I was 55. By that time, I had lived over 2,180 Saturdays, and if I lived to 75, I only had about 1,000 Saturdays left. So I went to a toy store and bought every marble they had. I had to visit 3 more toy stores to gather 1,000 marbles. I took them home and put them in a large clear jar by my radio. From then on, every Saturday, I took 1 marble out. Watching the marbles dwindle made me think more about the important things in my life. I realized that nothing helps prioritize your life better than watching your time slip away." The young businessman was so captivated by the old man's story that he was glued to the radio, oblivious to the world around him. The old man concluded his talk with these words. "Before I sign off, let me share one more thing. This morning, I took the last marble out of the jar. If I make it to next Saturday, I've been given a bit more time. Remember, the most valuable thing you can spend is time." As the talk continued, the young man reflected on how many distractions, both important and trivial, keep us from realizing how we're losing ourselves. Ironically, when we do notice, we often say, "Let me finish this task first, then I'll get to it." Life gets postponed, doesn't it? Everyone is caught up in their ambitions. That's why we need to set goals and prioritize what truly matters. The most important thing in this fleeting time is family togetherness. Children grow up before your eyes, but you might not even notice because of work. The world's work never ends. Cemeteries are filled with people who thought they were indispensable and believed nothing could get done without them.